Hello, friends, and welcome to the Mr. Pick Me and the Manhater Show. I am
Wah, wah,
Ray.
wah, wah.
There it is. That was a weak one. That was awful. Do it again.
Hey, wah, 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 wah.
We're both sick, to be fair. Well, he is
Mhm.
sick. I'm having a horrific allergic reaction
To me.
to you. It's finally, after so many months, hitting
We
me.
thought we were building up a tolerance, and then
No.
here we are.
Well, welcome, friends. If you don't know, we've had a little sad announcement. We are not doing our show. We had to cancel it because of the really devastating fires that are happening in LA. So we thought, just for everybody's safety and doing it at a different time, under a better circumstance, we're going to do the show a little bit later.
Yep.
Thanks, Chesko.
That's I if you don't know, I'm in LA. If
Yeah.
anybody's worried, I have gotten a lot of DMs from people wondering. I'm where I am personally safe. My family was very lucky in this regard, in that the fires are all surrounding us, but nowhere
Yeah.
near us. But obviously, it's still a devastating time. I have several friends that have lost their homes, and it's a rough. But as we do on the show, we're going to try to give a little escape, especially for anybody that is listening to us from LA, and kind of do the show and
Yeah.
give you something to listen to
Distract you a little bit.
distract you a little bit while this goes on.
Yeah, I actually just got a really nice email of somebody saying that it's been a hard time with stuff going on and that this is a little oasis.
So it's a good thing we took 2 weeks off,
I know.
but we're back for season 2. I don't know. We're gonna label
I guess it is.
Technically, I guess, right?
We were snowed in for a couple days because it was like
Mhm.
2 feet of snow. So I've had my child almost the whole time without
that's
any break.
Yeah.
Anywho,
This is Mr. Pick Me and the Manhater.
yeah, it is.
We do a radio show
No.
on podcast. Brought to you by
No!
Vaporu.
By what?
Vaporu, Vapor Rub. In Latino culture, it's often it's the running joke is that Vapor Rub fixes everything.
Like Vicks?
Yeah, and so
Ah.
but it's often referred to as Vaporu.
Okay.
And so I love, and it's my wife makes fun of me because every time I get sick, I'm like, where's the Vaporu? And they have the little tubes now that you can.
Yes, I love it.
Oh,
I
man.
love it. If I'm sick, my grandma always gave it to me,
Yeah.
and I'm like, this is the good stuff. So now,
Vicks Vaporu, if you would like to sponsor us, I am wearing you right now.
yeah, you're being sponsored.
What's that scent you have on, Chesko? Vaporu.
Oh, it's
that?
clearing my nasal passages.
Eucalyptus?
I don't think it is eucalyptus.
I don't know what is it. It's
I don't know.
no, it is wonderful Vapo Rub.
I love Vicks. I have always loved it.
It
So
is the best.
don't come for me, okay?
Yeah.
Anywho, since Chesko's decided he knows everything, I think we should learn a little bit more from men today. So
Finally.
very educational videos for men on the internet. So buckle up, friends.
Theme song.
You want bad advice, man? I'll give it out gladly. I got some good advice for you. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. I got some good advice for you. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. Shit.
Always unhinged. Once we get hinged,
Yeah,
they'll be like, what is this hinging?
we've been hinged.
Ah,
Oh my God. Okay, so the first video, this is from the wife's perspective.
mhm.
She had an interesting encounter with her husband.
Hey, what's up? It's Ash. Somebody please help me settle this debate. Last night, my husband and I have to go pick up our daughter at the airport. It's a little over an hour away. We jump in my Jeep, he's driving, and he says, oh, you're gonna need gas. Literally drives right past the gas station near our house, gets on the highway. So I'm thinking, all right, no big deal. We have plenty of time. We're gonna pass many on the ride. So I'm sitting in the passenger seat. I'm texting her so we can time it. She gets off her flight. She grabs her bag. She's out on the sidewalk, and we pick her up. We stop for a bite to eat on the ride home, and then we're like trekking down the highway, and I glance over at the dash and I see that the gas light's on. So I go, well, how long has the gas light been on for? And he's like, I don't know. This isn't my Jeep. I'm not paying attention to that. So I hit the little button and it just says low fuel. So I know that we have under 50 miles of gas and we have more than 50 miles to get home. So I'm like, well, how long's the gas light been on? Like, you're driving, you're staring at the dashboard. And he's literally like, I don't know. This isn't my Jeep. It wasn't my responsibility for gas. I'm not paying attention. So I'm like, please get off at the next exit so we can get gas. We get gas, and then I was like, what were you gonna do? And he's like, I was just gonna keep driving, and when we ran out of gas, you would have had to call AAA. I'm like, what? So am I wrong? Was I responsible in the passenger seat for watching for the gas light and instructing him to pull over for gas? Or was it my responsibility before we left for the airport to go get gas in my Jeep? Am I wrong?
So, Chesko, what do you think?
Well,
Well,
well, first off, have you ever ran out of gas when you're driving?
no, I don't. I've taken it to the limit
Yeah, I had
a couple times.
this is me, because if I don't share this story, I'm going to be thinking about this the entire time and not talking about the video. Most horrifying. So I used to live in a city called Pacifica, which is in the Bay Area. And as you drive down the freeway, the highway to get in there, you go over this huge, like, it's this beautiful, like, cliff looking over the ocean, right? And it's normally beautiful, except my car at the time ran out of gas as I was like going over the top part of it. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, it's fine, I'll coast, because it's a long downhill thing. I didn't realize this. I was, by the way, 19 at the time. I was driving to work. I didn't realize that when your gas goes out, your power steering also goes out. At least, I don't know if that's still the case, but that was what happened. And so but also as an adult, what should you do in that situation? Pull over,
Sure.
to the shoulder, right? As a 19-year-old, I don't want to use pejoratives for myself, child, right? I was like, I should at least roll this to the gas station. So I'm going down and I'm like I grab as hard as I can, because I'm like afraid I'm gonna go over the cliff. And I did get to the gas station though. So it ended up being
You almost died.
I almost died. That could have been my end game. But
Okay.
so warning, by the way, if you ever run out of gas in an older car, at least, I don't know if that's still the case for newer cars, your power steering goes out. And you don't realize how important your power steering is until you're on a cliff.
Well, this took a turn. I guess didn't.
Anyway, yeah.
No turning at all.
I see what you did
Yes,
there.
it's okay. You got there eventually.
Yeah. How do you feel about this video, Reagan?
Oh, I have lots of thoughts. I think this is insane. So, what I will say is, sure, it would have been better if it wasn't relatively on empty before they left to pick her up. I get that. Like, usually, you know, if you're picking someone from the airport, you do want to have enough gas in the tank. But we all live in a world where things happen. That it happens all the time. There's been plenty of times my wife and I switch cars all the time, where I'll get in and it's on me or not, or like low, and or vice versa, and we don't act like buttholes. But
Right. Especially if you have kids or if you have ADHD, like you can. There have been many times, or both, right?
Yes.
It is very easy to forget those sort of things.
Yeah.
I knew somebody that was very adamant. They're like, no, it has to always be above 60%. That was there. They had a line in their mind if it's below that, and I was like, I don't think it's rarely above 60%.
Do you fill up your car? And with gas prices, my God.
Yeah.
I'll at least say, like, I get that. But this whole thing of, I would say they're misogynistic. I don't know. But like, I'm going to prove a point. I'm going to show you. Instead of me just, like, getting gas. I mean, she could have paid for it. I don't know what their finances are. I don't know. I mean, I think they're married. So, like, I assume it wouldn't be a big deal if he or she paid for it.
This is also the issue. And I know this is an area of contention for a lot of people that don't agree with me on this. But, like, the whole, this is like being married and assuming that you're planning on staying married.
Right.
and just having everything so separate as this is
Yeah.
mine and that's yours. There
Yeah.
should at least, even I understand why people might want to have for various reasons
Sure.
have their own stuff, right?
Yeah.
But there's got to be at least have some blurriness
Yeah.
to it. Even with friendships, you know, like when I
Sure.
buy someone lunch, I'm not noting it so that the next time we go out, you have to buy me lunch, right?
They're like more strict with their partner than they would be their friend, which is crazy. And like money aside, let's like put that aside. He's trying to prove a point. He is
Yeah.
purposefully driving this
Punishing.
car. He saw it was on E and he's like, all right, I'm going to punish her. So who gets punished? It's not just her. It's not just him. It's the child as well. They're picking up their daughter. So the idea is, oh, well, once we are stuck on the side of the road after she's been traveling for God knows how long, and then who's going to be embarrassed? Mom. Who's going to feel like they messed up? Who is the daughter going to be mad at? Who's going to be blamed? Like, rather than just get gas at the many gas stations they pass, he would rather humiliate her and put them all in a dangerous situation just to prove a point.
They stopped to eat.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like they're. It's not even like it was one of those things where like they just, you know, we're going straight there, straight back.
Yeah.
But they literally stopped somewhere, and if you stop, there's almost certainly was a gas station right there.
She said
right?
they passed gas stations. And the whole idea of him, like, I don't see it, bullshit. If you've been driving that long, maybe you don't see it at first, but he definitely saw it. He definitely saw it. And the idea was, well, it's not my car, not my problem. That's a man who's trying to prove a point in the pettiest of ways.
Yeah.
And, like, that's also a dangerous situation. Like, being stuck on the side of the road. And again, it's there, wherever they are is cold. Like, all three of you, after she just got in from a flight,
Right.
for what? Like, what is the point? Literally to humiliate her?
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's a power move of being able to like see what you did, see how much you need me,
Yeah,
right?
see?
Like this is, you can't take care of yourself.
But it's like, I don't know, maybe she assumed she had a loving partner, a responsible partner who would tell her as he was driving if it was getting that low. I mean, because you can't always tell, like, just looking at it, you know, like, the idea of, like, you had to be put in a position to screw her over. You know what I mean? Like, you had to have a little bit of power to screw her over, and you're doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Knowing that if she was driving, she would have pulled over.
I don't even understand. Like, I think part of me is just like, and I get the whole what we talked about, the power move and everything, but like, what? Why? Like, what do you gain from the? I don't even understand. Like, there's certain like types of weird power moves that I can see the twisted logic in it. In certain, this is
Did you hear? So I talked about this on my other podcast, the F the Nice Guy podcast. The jar lids. Did you hear about this?
no.
This woman was like, had this long-term boyfriend who started living at her house, and all of a sudden, like, all of her jar lids were too tight and she couldn't like open her jars. And like, if he wasn't staying with her, it would not happen.
Right.
And if he was staying with her, it would happen again. And it was jars that he wasn't even using. Like, there were foods that he did not touch. Like, these were specific foods that she ate, and the jars would be too tight. And she ended up, he would go out of town and she couldn't open anything. And she felt crazy. And then she got her neighbor to come over, and he took some of the jars literally like to his garage to use like tools. And some of them broke. They were tightened so tight. And he denies, the whole time is denying that he's doing it. And the neighbor comes back and he's like, I just need you to know, like, somebody put work into tightening these jars. Like, these were not normal tightened. Like, they were damn near like factory setting tightened.
Wow.
And so he just just to fuck with her.
So that
So that she would need him to open the jar.
Right. I will say that, and this is not defending him. My wife's biggest complaint with me is that I tighten jars very tight.
Yes.
But I'm also a massive individual.
Yeah, but you're not doing
These
it to
Chinese
jars you don't use.
No, I know. No, it's my jars that I'm using.
Yeah.
And yeah. There's not a power play.
And you wouldn't deny that it happened either.
No, I apologize for it happening. She's always like, why is this? Why do you tighten it this way? Like,
Stop it.
Sorry.
I mean, he like literally just all of the jars, and like to the point that she like couldn't open any jars while he was gone. just to like prove he was needed. Like,
yeah, make her reliant on him.
it's this petty like way of getting revenge on people, and like it's such a cowardly way of doing it too. Like, he's not just like, getting into an argument with her. He's like, well, I guess I'll just pretend I don't see the, gas light on, and then we'll have to pull over on the highway.
It's these weird petty things where people get into relationships with people they clearly don't like.
Yeah.
Or it's just also, I feel like a lot of it stems from insecurity from these guys, where they're like, they need to find ways to prove that they're needed and necessary, right? And that's why they always have
smarter.
this ubiquitous feeling of I'm your protector.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
But it's like, but at a certain point you realize, all right, what else are you providing to this relationship, right? And so they're like, oh well, you wouldn't be able to open these jars without me here. And it seems like that's not. I don't think it's a conscious thing, but it is just like this subconscious weird way of like making them reliant on you.
Oh, I think it's absolutely conscious. When you're tightening all the jars in a fridge.
In this particular thing, I know you're right.
Even what he's doing, he consciously knew that he could see the light. He knew what was going to happen. He knew how she was going to feel. It doesn't, it's the whole idea of, my therapist says, the reasonable expectation. If they do this, what do they reasonably expect? Right. One can reasonably expect that if they don't say the gas light is on and keep driving, they're gonna have to pull over. And I think it's completely conscious. Now, I don't know that they would get to the level of I'm insecure.
They probably I don't think they don't think that's why they're doing it. Yeah.
But I definitely think like they're trying to prove their value. It's like, I will show you that I am your savior by being also the danger. Like, that's insane.
What would you do without me to protect you from me?
From me.
How would you protect yourself from me if I was not here to protect you from me?
Who would stop me if I wasn't here? Who would stop me
from being me if I wasn't here to stop me?
Who knows when I'll show up again?
I'm here all the time. What are you going to do if I'm not here?
I have to protect this household from me and also be here. It's actually a really hard job.
Do you understand how hard it is to live with me?
Yes, you're nodding. Yes.
I have to be with me 24 hours a day.
God, make me a sandwich, please. I'm starving.
If you don't make me a sandwich and ask me to open these jars to make me that sandwich,
they'll do anything not to improve. Instead, like, I don't know, make yourself important in other ways. Like the jar lids is just so disturbing. But like, letting your wife and your child be stranded on the side of the road on purpose to make your wife feel like shit. Like, all of that is just so she feels like shit. Is so malicious.
And I almost feel like that if they did break down, then he could be like, oh man, can you imagine if I wasn't here with you right now? How would you feel?
Oh my God.
Wouldn't this be scary? Wouldn't you be scared without it's the whole, it is, you're right though, it's this manufactured value of just needing to show that they are worth, that they're actually providing something to you because of the fact that it's so because it's insecurity, because of insecurity. I think it all stems down to insecurity or fragility, I guess.
Very fragile. If she hadn't have clocked it at all, he would have easily just been like, oh my God, I didn't even see the light. And then she would have probably been apologizing to him.
It's true. And that's part of it too.
And how much of that is going on and we just didn't realize it? You know what I mean? Oh my God.
And that's not to say, like, I think neither gender is innocent from playing mind games with each other.
Every gender plays mind games.
Everybody, but I think there is a certain flavor of malicious mind game that you see more commonly done by toxic men.
Danger. Like, well, it's like the whole bear argument. Right. When that was going on, so many of men's responses were then to make threats to women. Like, well, wait till I get a hold of you. I'm like, dude, you're proving why women choose the bear.
It's like when guys talk about how, men are victims of violence too. Yeah.
By
who?
Is it? Men!
Is it? Yeah, it's the majority.
It's a whole argument of like, what will women do if men aren't there to protect them? From? From who?
Fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. If all men disappeared tomorrow, what would women do? Rejoice.
I Dance, run with headphones in, wear whatever they wanted, have rights.
Paid child leave.
What?
Paid child care leave. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, just the idea of like, I am so desperate to be essential to you that I will
Hmm.
actually put you in danger. I
Hmm.
will put you in a situation that you need me.
Man, what a world.
Oh God.
Why are so this male loneliness epidemic is like I don't understand it. It's I always am careful and like downplaying. Like I get that there's an actual issue with that. I don't deny that there are things going on. There's depression, there's sadness. I don't
Mhm.
want to downplay mental health problems, but the issue is a lot of it is because it's self-imposed, right? It's the idea of like I'm smacking myself in the head and being like, why does my head always hurt? Right? That pain is real, but you're the one doing it.
It's so interesting. I did a video with my sister again from other podcasts where I was like went on and on. I just talked about the male loneliness epidemic not existing because when it's used, it's usually men talking
Yeah.
about not sleeping with women. When it's used,
Hmm.
most of the time that men are using it online in particular, that's what they're
Hmm.
kind of talking about. They're talking about relationships because they could be friends with women. They could have companionship with men, women, any gender, and yet they choose not to.
Hmm.
And if anything, the friend zone is literally the most abhorrent place they could ever be, and they're
Hmm.
disgusted when they're like when they're forced to be friends with women. It's just the worst.
Hmm.
So that's what I was talking about. And people got really upset. Okay, I should be clear. Men got upset.
Yeah.
But my point is, like, first of all, it's across genders, loneliness.
Right.
Like
Right.
loneliness, the epidemic of loneliness is truly across genders. The idea that it's being called an epidemic
Hmm.
makes it seem as if it is a sudden burst of this almost
Right.
without cause or explanation, right? And it's not sudden,
Yeah.
really.
And I think the difference is and this is once again not the problem of women. This is a problem of
Mhm,
and this is
mhm,
a misogyny problem. This is a patriarchy
mhm,
problem. Women that are lonely still can find community with other women
mhm,
versus men with that are friends with other men rarely find that same kind of community, that same kind of listening, that same kind of warmth
mhm.
that is there. And so it feels like as if men must have it so much worse because it's that they're doing it to them. They're literally causing it to themselves.
Well, like I said, they don't seek out
Hmm.
friendship with women though. They don't
They don't seek out
value.
friendship for the sake of friendship, right?
Yes,
For the
they
sake
don't
of
see value in it. So of
Mhm.
course you don't have community. If you don't
Right.
see, or
Hmm.
any gender, like if you don't see value other than men in friendships and you're not comfortable
Hmm.
with intimacy with men, like emotional
Hmm.
intimacy, like you can't build community. You can't build with
Right.
community with people that you think are lesser than you, are
Hmm.
subhuman to. Of course you're not building community because you're
Hmm.
viewing members of your community as less than. That's
Right.
never going to work. And it's also, when women are lonely, we don't see as many acts of violence from
Hmm.
women, like
Hmm.
statistically speaking.
Hmm.
Men, when they're lonely, we see that it's a lot of times being put on other people violently. We see these acts that are happening, and loneliness is being called the cause. But why is it that men
Hmm.
do it in that way? Like, why do men
Hmm.
feel they have the right to take out their loneliness as violence
Hmm.
against women a lot of the
And that's
time?
that's the wildest thing to me about why there are so many guys that can't see that someone like myself who's speaking out against
Hmm.
these horrific systems that harm everyone,
Yes.
right? They get so but it's they still come at me violently,
Hmm.
still or angrily or insultingly when they don't realize that it's literally I'm fighting against the very thing that is making them so angry, that is
Hmm.
making them want
Same.
to enact those systems of violence, right? And obviously you are too, and like the other, it's mostly women in this space. Obviously, there are several men that are doing it. We don't have to get into the whole habit of it, but I'm always one of the videos I made before. This is like 3 years ago.
Hmm.
Was that I don't think you should ever fully trust any man in this space, including myself, right?
Including me.
No, because
Yeah.
I think there's you get to the point where uh you get too much kudos for doing this work, then that's what it becomes about,
Yeah.
right? It becomes too much where uh like it's like, how do I know that you're actually believing what you're saying and not just
Hmm.
doing it once again for the reward of being the savior, for being that good person? And we've seen obviously with what's his face? We're not going to talk about him.
Well done.
But Justin Baldoni,
Yeah.
how even he fooled me. I own his book.
Yeah.
Like he definitely fooled me. And that there are these people that are very good at this,
Mhm.
especially if you're a narcissist. Anybody could be there. If you're still gaining value from the current system, you're still gaining benefit from the current system,
Yeah.
then you should always be looked at. And if you can't handle the fact that people are going to be doubting your true intentions,
Hmm.
if that is enough to make you not want to do this work still,
Right.
then that says a lot, right? And
Right.
so,
If you can't be questioned. Yeah.
right, if you can't, same like with anti-racist work,
Sure.
right? If any sort of work that you are doing, that where you are the one that is part of the community in power, the community that is loses quote unquote the most by the system changing,
Hmm.
people should always constantly, have a little, but you should accept that you're not welcome always in spaces, even if
Sure.
you're doing the work, right there. If there's a woman's only space, if there is a space only for a trans only space, right? If there's a queer only space, if there's only certain things, you should not be offended or hurt. We talked about that. Was it
Hmm.
your show or was it this show? About that guy that went to the gay bar, the straight guy that went to the gay bar. But that whole situation, right? It's the
Hmm.
idea, if you're getting offended by not being given all the privileges and the tasty rewards for being that good friend, the good
Yes.
ally, then there's a problem, right? Then it's very clear that there's something else going on.
And I think it's an excellent point because, like, there's a lot going on with the Baldoni case, but something I want to mention is that men, nice guys, particularly like spiritual nice guys,
Hmm.
are very comfortable and known to push boundaries.
Hmm.
And they feel like they have the right to push boundaries, and they get very upset when
Hmm.
someone has a boundary with them because they have this open energy that they're open, they're healed, whatever they're saying. But that, if someone holds a boundary with them, it's a problem. And you look at, like, it's the same thing with that space. Like, if you're doing anti-racism work, or if you're trying to be an ally and
Hmm.
someone of that community wants to hold a boundary with you and you would get
Hmm.
pissed at that boundary, that's not okay. That's not
Hmm.
right. They're allowed to have boundaries. However open you want to be, like, it has to be consenting on both sides. And you look at
Right.
Baldoni, like, just for some examples that both of them have agreed happened. One, he goes up to her and says, "I'm talking to your dead dad." That
Hmm.
is so inappropriate to say
Hmm.
to someone, particularly if they don't share your belief systems. Like, that's not okay.
Right.
Like, and she clearly was not okay with it. Like, and
Hmm.
it's something he's known to do. And
Hmm.
to have your co-star, but also your director, do that to you when that's not what
Hmm.
you believe, that's a lot. That's a lot
Hmm.
to take on. And there was also, he was showing off the video of his wife giving birth. And
Wow.
yeah, and she walked up and she thought they were looking at pornography.
Hmm.
And she was like, "Whoa." And
Hmm.
he's like, "Oh no, it's just this my birth video," because he was showing it to somebody else. And she was like, "Did she consent to that?" And he said, "Well, she's
Hmm.
not weird about it." As if having bound, it's
Right. Right.
weird. It would be weird if she cared. It's like,
Hmm.
hey, guess what? Not everybody wants
Right.
to see that. Like, that is a very
Hmm.
intimate, graphic on all
Hmm.
levels. Like, it's graphic. Like, you're seeing a lot of body parts. There's a lot of
Hmm.
gore. Like, you don't have the right to just do that. And it's okay
Right.
for people to have a problem. And just talking about the things that they've agreed happened,
Hmm.
there was a constant pushing of
Hmm.
boundaries with her. And I don't think, like, her personality aside, I'm not a huge fan of her. I think it's annoying that I have to say that.
Hmm.
But I don't think she's someone who is easily pushed
Hmm.
by people, and I don't think she backed down
Hmm.
when she had a problem with the way that he was behaving. And yeah, I think he expected that to go a different way.
And I think just to go even more general, so we don't steal your entire topic for your other show.
I'm talking about this on the other show. We're trying to be careful.
But with manipulators,
Yeah.
and you see this, I think you see this oftentimes with like the couples that like prank each other.
Ugh.
As it's but it's like you manipulate some, oh, she's cool with that. She loves when I do this, right? Or like the that marriage ceremony where he made the really horrific
Oh God.
vows of those. Oh, that's my humor. She loves
Yeah.
my humor, right? She's not. It's I think that's a common thing. Oh, she's not weird about it. She has a great sense of
She's
humor.
cool.
Gets it. She's one of the cool girls,
Yeah.
right?
I
And I
she's
think
been picked.
But that's it. I think it's very, if you hear that from someone you love and you want them to like you, right? You know, it's not just it's not just that you want them to love you, you want them to like you as well.
Yeah.
Then I could easily be like, oh yeah, of course, because I know that you think anybody with a boundary like that would be weird. So of
Right.
course I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm not one of the, yeah, I
That's a
don't mind.
great point. So
Hmm.
that's a very common manipulative technique, particularly with narcissistic people, not just
Hmm.
men,
Right,
all
right.
genders. Um, is what they'll do is rather than critique you, they'll
Hmm.
critique other people or they'll constantly compliment something. So,
Hmm.
like, if they want your hair a certain way, they'll compliment that. Or if they don't want your hair a certain way, they'll be like, oh, say you have long hair. They'll be like, I really like short hair. Like, that short hair looks great on her. And they'll
Hmm.
keep bringing it up. And by
Hmm.
constantly commenting on it, they deliver the message without having to. And
Hmm.
then when you make the change, say you
Hmm.
chop your hair off, they can say, well, I never told you to do that.
Right.
And that's
Because
the
they
thing.
could even say like, I love, oh man, I love short hair. You though, this works totally. This is
Right.
looks
It's not
beautiful. I
you.
love this on you. No,
Yeah.
this is amazing for you. But
Yeah.
yeah, once again, you're hearing that, you're internalizing it.
They trick you into thinking it's you. Yeah. It's like
Hmm.
your choice. You chose to do that.
Hmm.
As someone who has dealt with many men who behave like that,
Right.
it's insidious. It's very
Hmm.
insidious. It's hard to catch, and we have to dive deep into like when people do things like and really look at what is the intent here. What could
Hmm.
possibly be the reason if we're accepting that they are not a fool. Like that's what like
Hmm.
when I was talking about the reasonable expectation. If you're
Right.
constantly telling your partner how much you love a certain look, you can
Hmm.
reasonably expect they may think that's what you want.
Right.
Right? It's just
Right.
like food. If you're constantly saying how much you like this food, they may end up cooking you that food because they
Hmm.
think that's what you want to be served to you.
Right.
And I think these men operate under that and then want to be like, well, I didn't know the gas tank was empty. I didn't
Hmm.
see the light. It's like we have to be critical of these behaviors and look at like, okay, assuming you're not an idiot, which
Hmm.
I know this man would be pissed if she's like, oh, he's just an idiot.
Right.
Like he just can't
Right.
see lights.
Yeah.
You can't
That's just the
have
way he is.
you know how he is. He's just an
Hmm.
idiot. They're very hypocritical in the sense of
Hmm.
they'll want to be treated like a baby, but then if we were ever to call them a baby, they would be horrified by that.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
like in front of the guys, if you're like,
Hmm.
he doesn't notice when his gas lights off and he lets the car run all the way out, like he would be horrified,
Hmm.
right? And I think it's realizing like this is manipulation. There's more to this,
Hmm.
and knowing the systems that we have going, the power systems, and just what goes on in our society. I think it's important to keep all of those in mind when we look at the way
Hmm.
that people behave, because otherwise, like without that context, we're gonna get manipulated by people,
Hmm.
and really bad behaviors and malicious actions are going to be cast aside as like a mistake.
Hmm.
So
Speaking of which, so there's a video that I've been sent by a bunch of people, and
what?
it's not just one, it's been like it's one of those quotes that starts going around, and then you see like 50 videos of
Oh
people
God.
showing it, and I can't remember the exact word. I can look up if you want to take a break, I can look up the exact video, but the gist of it is when a woman is with a weak man or like a boy, she'll act like a mom. But when a woman is with a real man, she'll act like a child.
Oh God!
The worst fucking right?
What's happening?
And I've had people send it to me, the weirdest thing, and this happened more than once, where people have sent it to me both as like, you need to critique this, and I've had other people send it to me like, yes, this is great,
I
right?
am a child.
Yep. And I'm like,
Why does there have to be an infantilized adult in the mix? Like, why does somebody have to be a
right.
child? That is so bizarre to me.
So wild to me. Yeah, it's the glamorization of this idea of the man that takes care of everything and the dependence
Yes.
of that, because that's what there's a culture in, I don't want to say our society, in the world, even in a lot of societies, of the man needing to be everything to everyone, and the woman needing to be his property, right? His the thing that relies on him for everything, because it's and it the idea of a person, I don't know if say man or woman, but a person seeking out somebody as a partner is considered to be a lesser arrangement or a lesser relationship than the one where the man is doing everything.
But he never is.
Yeah,
Like, he never
I know,
is.
I
And
know.
also, hey, friends, someone can take care of you without you being a child.
Hmm.
The only reason to call you a child is to infantilize you and take away your power and make
Right,
you feel like you're not capable.
right,
My wife takes care of me. I take care of her. I don't at any
absolutely,
point think I am a child or she is a child. Like,
right.
it doesn't have to be that way. I just saw, it's going to be a tangent. Have you heard the curious case of Natalia Grace or whatever?
No.
It's the it was the girl who had a unique form of dwarfism, and then her parents said that she was like the movie Orphan where she was an adult.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Anyways, so I haven't seen
yeah.
the new season, but there was an
Hmm.
interview and I don't know what he is. The foster parent. I don't know what's. I think she's an adult now. I don't know.
Hmm.
But the family that's taking care of her is very religious. Has been accused of being a cult or cult like, and he was talking about that she needs to find a woman or woman. That would be a twist. That she
Right.
needs to find a man through the church, and that they'll have a chaperone, and then he said, and then eventually the man will take over the father's role for her. And I was like, oh my God. Let's not get into everything else that's wrong with that whole
Yeah.
series. But just this idea, I was like, bleh, just this idea of like, your husband doesn't take the role of your father.
Hmm.
Like I get like is protective of you, loves you,
Hmm.
but like it's not your new dad. Like why are we like women are very capable. Women
Yeah.
can live alone and have amazing careers, are intelligent. Like
Hmm.
if anything, we see a lot of men infantilized. It's
Right.
interesting. I feel like we see a lot of men infantilizing themselves and like
Hmm.
women being infantilized by men.
Right. Right.
That's a generalization, but
It is such a weird thing, because I guarantee you that many of the relationships where the men are looking for a mommy, right, to the
uh,
replacement mommy,
oh my God.
are the ones who would consider themselves to be the man in a and that she is the quote unquote child in
Ah,
that, yeah,
that's
I know.
horrible.
I hate how many videos I've responded to a few of them where they have explicitly used that language of like child for their partner, like of like treating the love of my wife is like the love for a daughter, like kind of like
Ew. What are you talking? And you have sex with her?
it's
Question
so
mark.
creepy. I know, it is the
Like what?
creepiest shit.
I remember just speaking on like infantilization, like self-imposed. Um, I was in college and the
Mhm.
guy I was dating was younger than me, which why did I do that? Why did I do that? Anyways,
Yeah.
I remember one time, he was a mama's boy. I mean,
Hmm.
really, like there was a time I might have said this before, but for Valentine's Day, mind you, I'm in my 20s, okay, and
Hmm.
he would have been 20. She was like, "I'll make you dinner at my house." I'm
Hmm.
like, "No, I don't
I
want to
don't want
spend
that at
Valentine's
all.
Day with you." And she would get all my
Yeah.
gifts from him. Like it was a whole thing. But I
Oh,
remember one time he was really mad. I was like, "What's wrong with you?" He's like, "Oh, my mom won't call my dermatologist. I'm just annoyed." And I'm like, "Call
yeah.
yourself. What are you? I mean, he was genuinely and felt justifiably mad.
Complaining to you about it
Yes,
too.
like, ugh, my mom sucks. I'm like,
Can you
you're a
believe this?
man.
Yeah.
Call yourself.
He was
You know,
not a
it's
man,
this,
right?
no. Well, he was. No, he
I know.
is.
No,
That's
he
the
was.
thing.
You're right. Because I get annoyed when people be like, "No, he's just that they're not." It's always the excuse
It's
for
the accountability remover.
men doing horrible shit
Yes,
or stupid
he's
things.
just a
Yeah,
boy. And I'm
yeah,
like, I mean, I say man baby, but I mean they act like babies.
yeah,
But it's a way of taking accountability from men when we're
yeah.
like boys will be boys, for example. It's almost never used for boys.
Yeah.
Almost never.
It's also never. Women aren't given that same benefit of the doubt either. It's
Girls will
not
be
like,
girls.
oh, she's just a girl for a
Yeah.
25-year-old woman, right? Oh, she's just a little
No.
girl. Like it's like stuff like that is never given like reverse. I don't even can't think of a specific situation where that would be done because it's just not done, right? We
It's
excuse all the
crazy
horrible
because
shit that men do for that reason, though.
as much as you know, people want to say like women say all men, you know,
Hmm.
which is almost not like it's fine. Leave that one alone. As much as they blame women for that, men do it all the time about other
Hmm.
men. And like,
Hmm.
oh, well, you know how men are. And like, I
Yep.
recently, I had, one of my jobs, I had, there's this guy who is known for being harassy. Like he,
Hmm.
is very inappropriate. Like the first time I met him, because we like have this acting job, he's an actor, and then we all
Hmm.
get dinner, and then sometimes people drink, which I don't drink anymore because I don't trust any of these people. But he ended up like asking me very intimate questions about being a lesbian the first time I met
Hmm.
him.
Wow.
Yuck.
Hmm.
So I have reported him, and
Hmm.
like, you know, it's rough because it's not on the clock. It's just like hanging out and we're all choosing to do that. And the guy that I reported him to, you know, is like saying he's going to take action, but at one point he goes, "Oh, you know, men can be terrible." And I'm like,
Hmm.
because they're allowed to
Right.
be. What do
Right.
you mean? You're HR. What do you mean?
Hmm.
What
That's
do
what
you
happens when you don't have give accountability for anything.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy to me that he
Yeah.
said that. Like, well, I'm like, they wouldn't be terrible if you fired them if they did
Right.
it. Isn't
I
that
had
crazy?
one of the moments that made me feel ancient. This was a couple years ago. But there was a student that was complaining about something their boss did.
Hmm.
And they're like, you know, he's from a different time. That was like, and you know, what how old he was?
How old?
45, 45.
Oh, no, girl. No, no,
But and
friend.
that's
Call him out.
my point of bringing that up is I don't want to get into that was a whole nother thing. It ended up being fine. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But the idea though, I think it gets at a bigger thing, is it's either boys will be boys,
Hmm.
or once they get old enough, oh well they're they're
Can't
set in
change
their
now.
ways. Can't they're he's you know how guys are, you know how men are when they get to be a certain
You're
age.
like, wait, there was no gap. He
There
went
was
from a
no
boy
gap.
to
There
a
was
man. Oh,
1 year
man.
of accountability at 38 years old. That
Worst
is
year of my life.
worst year. I was actually accountable for everything. I was not yet a boy, not quite a man. Was that
At 40.
the Britney Spears song? That is the funniest thing. I remember being in my 20s though and
Mhm.
thinking people in their 40s were so ancient. You know what I
My
mean? Like
God.
like but when I thought of old people back
Yeah.
then, I did think of people in their 40s and 50s. Like that was still those were old people. And now I'm 42 and I'm like, I'm not an old person.
Wait a second.
Although there are days where I feel quite like an old person, but
Yeah.
it is interesting how that how your perspective shifts on it. But it's given me enough perspective though to say that it's bullshit that we
Yeah.
excuse guys for things for both ways. When I was in my 20s, I was still a man and old enough to understand that the shit and there's certain things, that we can excuse certain things. There's naivete, there's
Sure.
mistakes we make. I'm sure when I was in my early 20s, especially in dating, there's advice that I thought was good advice that I followed and it was dumb and lucky for me, I never did anything problematic, right? But I was still susceptible to doing dumb things
Yeah.
at that age. And then like I said, there's at a certain point, there's never a certain point where you finally have accountability. It's always a reason to
Well,
excuse.
And the old man things kills me because, like,
Mhm.
I think they're one of the worst offenders. I've had
Mhm.
so many old men be inappropriate with me that's been, like, cast aside. If you talk to people, like my sister's an OT, anybody who works
Mhm.
in the medical field, they've been touched or had things
Mhm.
said to them. And, like, I just did a video where this girl was, like, walking her dog
Mhm.
and her neighbor who was like 70, she was in her 20s, um like talked to her for a minute or two, then started
Mhm.
showing up at her house, left her this love note that even though she talked about her boyfriend, and again, there's like a 50-year age gap, like,
Right.
ugh, and it's so horrifying. And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm quite taken with you. If you feel the same, call me. And kept showing up at her house. And I
Mhm.
posted about it being like, the audacity, like that he thinks this
Mhm.
20-year-old like woman, I almost said girl, ugh, this
Yep.
20-year-old woman would be interested in him. And then like the police got involved because he again started showing up at her house, and we all know how dangerous it is if somebody knows where you
Mhm.
live. And
Right.
he was like, I didn't know. I just was looking for a friend. I'm a deacon at the church. And all these people
Mhm.
are defending him. Like, people are saying he has Alzheimer's. He does not. People are
Mhm.
saying he's just a lonely old man. Like, he was confused. Someone has to take care of him. I'm like,
Mhm.
not her.
Right.
Not her.
Not
Why
this
would,
20-year-old. Yeah.
it's like women are constantly being made to like
Yeah.
suffer for
Mhm.
these things. It just makes no sense to me. Like, why
And then
would,
she's probably feeling guilty about it too,
yeah.
like because the people are shaming her, and she's like,
Mhm.
"Well, maybe I shouldn't have taken it this far. Maybe I should. Maybe was I leading him on? Right?
Yeah, right. What
The whole. What did I do something? Maybe I should have.
she
It's
said he
also,
was flirting with her and he's literally an old man. And it's just like, why would you
yeah.
assume that you're showing up at her house, you're leaving her letters, you're claiming, "Oh, I'm just an old church deacon. I wish you
Hmm.
had a community like the church."
Right.
Like, he has a community and everyone's giving all these excuses. It's like, if he was 20, people would give the excuse that he's young. It's like,
Hmm.
to your point, is there any time we're just like,
Yeah.
actually, that's fucked up?
Hmm. I've seen men in the 30s where they still like, he's a young guy,
Right?
right?
What?
It's like I said, it quite literally is. It's you get to be a young guy
Hmm.
who is just dumb and doesn't know what he's
Just a
doing.
rogue.
I'm a victim to my hormones,
Yeah.
right? To then
Till
being
40.
old and set in your ways, and well,
Yeah,
what are you gonna
can't change.
do? He's from a different time when it
Back
was
in my day.
okay.
Oh my God, I cannot. In the new year, 2025, I'm urging us to just hold men accountable and not call
Yes,
them boys.
yes, indeed. Except for me, I'm set in my ways.
You're old now.
I'm old now. I'm an old man.
You can do whatever you
Oh.
want.
This is my last year. My birthday this year will be my last year of being in my early 40s because next year, mid 40s begins.
Oh my God.
42 was the hardest one for me because it was the 21st birthday of my 21st birthday.
Wait, what?
My 42nd birthday was last year,
Uh-huh.
and that was the 21st birthday of my 21st birthday. 38 was rough too. I have weird milestones. 38 was hard because my college freshmen were born when I was a college freshman. No, wait, that was 36. Yeah, it was 36. That was the one.
Oh, like what year were you born? You're like, oh,
Where I was like, they were the
it was a
my
different time, Chesko.
it was a different era. I'm ancient at this point. I can do
I can
whatever
do what
I
I
want now.
It's so true. You can say crazy shit as an old man. People are like, "Oh,
Oh,
Georgie."
man, he's so. I even got it's funny. I used to have these coworkers that they're God rest their soul now. They were when I was hired, they were in their 90s.
Oh my God.
But they were the most inappropriate.
Yes, I'm
They
telling
made
you.
the most. I loved them, by the way. And it's to be fair, they were amazing. But they would like literally they would do the pinching. They would like say like sexual things. It was
To students,
no to their to us, the other
a
people that were
hair
their
better, but
colleagues.
not much.
It was so, but my point is like there is this. I think there's a certain age you get to where you're just like, whatever, I'm dying soon.
I'm hitting on everybody.
Yeah.
Well,
Anywho.
I think it's when you're delusional enough to think like
Yeah.
20-year-olds want you and you can put hands on people. That's when you're getting into predator. Let's not be a predator in your later years. Let's not age into to that.
Yeah. Which I think is good life advice for anybody.
Yeah. Don't be a predator ever.
Don't be a predator at any age.
At any age, don't do it.
It's good.
Please.
Yeah, not just when you're older. When you're younger too. When you're a young man and not a baby boy. In your 20s,
baby boy.
when you're a little baby in your 20s.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right, friends. Thank you for joining us for our first show back from our break.
Unofficially season 2.
Season 2.
I don't know why I keep saying that. We never talked about that.
I know. Well, now it's a thing, I guess.
Now it's season 2.
Did we only do one video this whole and just talk?
No, well, technically, I guess the second one, we talked about multiple videos.
Oh my God. We went off the rails.
Only one official video that we showed the actual audio. We have done this. There's at least been a dozen times where we'd be like, we're going to talk about 6 videos today. And we got through half of one.
I know we had one video and then you paraphrased a video. And then I talked about a video I saw once.
Right.
What a professional show.
Yep.
In like 10 episodes, we're just going to talk about our dreams.
Yep.
I had this crazy dream.
Sadly, and this is way more like put together than our pre-show.
Yeah. To be fair, Chesko is sick and I am suffering from an allergic reaction and I'm on Benadryl. So we're not thriving, but we're here.
We're here.
One of us is queer and get used to it. There you go.
Yeah. All right.
I don't think I can say that. Okay.
Good. We're good. We're
good. Leave it in. Leave it in.
Leave it in.
All right, friends. Make sure to check out our pre-show if you want to see the more unhinged version of this, which is remarkable. And other than that, friends, we will see you next week.
I love you.
I knew you were going to say that. I love you too. Bye.
Bye.
I got some good advice for you.